Hey everyone, I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we publish books that wake the world up to what's possible, one brave word at a time. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the most amazing authors of a new book that we have coming out called Sister Armor, Healing in Community. Now, before I introduce you to these amazing women, I just want to say a big, giant thank you to Tiffany Borner. Thank you, Tiffany, so much for bringing this stellar group of humans together for this book project, for being the co-leader in this project, and really just for your beautiful love, joy, energy, and the whole idea of bringing a healing in community book to us. Love it. I love it. Without further ado, let me tell you who I have in my Zoom room with me today. Dr. Anna Pala has over 20 years of experience in higher education, integrating disability as part of diversity, inclusion, and equity initiatives. She enables leadership and teams to be accountable, take action, and to ensure that accessibility is an integral part of the fabric of all operations and services. Bonnie Casa, I knew I was going to have a little trouble here. Casa Massima, did I get it?
You got it.
All right, is an evidential medium and research professor. She helps you in connecting with your intuition via channeling sessions and education. Jen Bates is an intuitive, a conscious channel and creator of Lighten Up with Jen Bates, where she offers energy medicine to assist in your expansion and enjoyment of this wild human ride. And Thais Krause is a holistic wellness coach and Reiki master who loves working with women to awaken them to the divinity that they are. Are y'all feeling the power I have in my Zoom room today? I hope so. I can't wait to introduce them to you. So let's see. Anna, you are going to start this party off today. Tell us about your amazing chapter.
Right. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, everyone. It's really wonderful to be here with you. And I wrote chapter 5, and the title is Healing Through Divorce, How to Part Ways and Stay on a Journey of Love. And I could even say, in a journey of self-love, that's kind of what I discover through this process. So, Bill and I got divorced last December, and was really through the journey of healing that happens through that process. And I think I can say for certain, when I look back, I think the decision of the divorce is what it triggers a lot of me seeking the healing that I went through this past year. And when I look back, and I think that's that sense of connection with myself and some of the traumas that I experienced as a child that actually kind of trigger all the desire that I had since young, to transform, like it was really like right after, in January 2021, when Bill and I, we were married for 60 years, that we decided that we would get divorced. And we had a conversation when I was in Brazil. I spent about 4 months in Brazil during the COVID time. And during the conversation, we really decided. So I remember being back on the plane and writing. Actually, I have the piece of paper right here with me. And just writing, and this whole thing kept with me. There is this struggle, how it's going to be. I was in Brazil. I didn't want to come back, how everything is going to unfold. There is like this tremendous fear, and already like this huge sense of loss and despair in some way. And, and I remember like this thing coming really strong to me, which was, I have to connect in order to disconnect. And then everything starts to come up about everything and every ways that we were connected, right? And then there was like everything, like from all the bills and the wedding ring, and we have a daughter, Maya, who is 7, and I think that's kind of, when the process kind of started. And then of course, as I came back, and we started the conversation and making it work, I was very fortunate to meet some amazing healers. And I even remembering like being in Brazil and having this prayer that I created, you know, that I really want to ask the spirits and the guides to really show me my way. And even though the divorce was one of the processes in my life that was one of the hardest emotionally, physically, I remember the day when I was about to move, that it was tremendous exhaustion already, even before, you know, moving. But I never really felt so supported by the spiritual realm. Now I know like my higher self and the insights that I was getting, how my intuition was coming up, and all the actual people in my life, you know, my friends here in, you know, in the US, and my mom, which was incredible, the kind of support that I got from her. It was almost, as I look back, that as my mom gave me the permission, and I can say that with even pride and gratitude for her support. And I almost felt like that there was all these ancestors just saying, you know, go for it, you know. Through the process of divorce, you know, I was very fortunate, you know, to just meet extraordinary healers and done some shamanic work, a lot of plant medicine that in so many ways show me and gave me this experience of being connected to other dimensions, the spiritual realm. But I think most importantly, it showed me a lot of the wounds that I had to heal, a lot of the things from my childhood, a lot of the patterns that were from my families and my ancestors. You know, in the chapter, I mentioned a little bit of the pattern of immigration and the pain and the suffering from a lot of the people, you know, in you know, just this pattern of immigrating, right? Why do I have to do that, right? What is that? You know, when I look also like at my one of the patterns that I had, you know, growing up in my family in Brazil, I was one of four, and being born right after my brother, who was 10 months after my brother, who had a disability. And I mentioned kind of in the beginning of the chapter, like that there is this declaration of the doctor of my mom saying, you know, because she was so afraid of having another child that was disabled as well. So when I was born, you know, 46 years ago, there was this declaration from the doctor, look, Marlene, it's a girl and she's perfect. Look, it's a beautiful girl and she's perfect. And I think that sentence, because my mom told me that so many times growing up, it's kind of haunted me because I was everything for myself, everything but perfect, you know, with being taken to the doctor when I was 7 to lose weight, and being in a constant experience of not belonging to my family, being corrected in every meal that I wasn't doing the right thing, have this daily conflict with my dad and my mom, and not feeling that I belong. And then I can see now, you know, establish this pattern of leaving, you know, and I left home to go to college, leaving to the US. And I think that I see that a lot of the patterns that or even like this void of not feeling worthy of love, not feeling worthy of, you know, this sense of not belonging. I think that when I met Bill, you know, we met at this program called Landmark Forum, you know, and I think a lot of our marriage was kind of a lot of this feeling of not belonging and hurt was like all part of this. So I think when we decided to get divorced after 16 years, I think that, and I started doing the shamanic work and I started doing a lot of this healing, a lot of that stuff came about, you know, and
you know, Anna, I'm going to pause you there for a minute. I really, I resonate so much with a lot of what you're saying. I think for those of you who think about it this way, divorce can break you open so that you can become who you are meant to be. Yeah. And no matter what stage of your life you're in, it can do that.
Yeah, and I think that that's what I started to be in touch with, you know, as I started to go to the healing, and then Bill and I, you know, and then for me, every piece of it, every piece of attachment, every piece of suffering, and I was always a question, what did I have to learn from this? You know, what is the message here? And so I think that it was really an experience of beginning, really, again, as I said earlier, to connect, to really find the power within me, to begin to look at this portion of myself, or even starting to have a piece of, unconditional love. We did get the divorce in 2 months from start to finish, the whole process of divorce. And I could not imagine that I had step away. When I say, how to part the ways and stay on a journey of love, I think I can say that it was part of self-love. It is what is emerging now of unconditional love for Bill, and as really being able to be partners and raising Maya, and coming up, and flourishing, both of us, within the process. So, Laura, there's a lot more that I could be talking about, but I think it's, I'm just grateful for also the opportunity to have dived into writing this, because there's just so much transformation. And
well,
and I think
our listeners are going to have to wait and read your whole story in the book. And Anna, I'm sorry, I'm going to pause you there, because I have so many other awesome questions for you, especially about this topic. It's so funny, you guys. Yesterday, I was interviewing another group, and we were talking about divorce. And somebody said, do you guys realize that all the gurus and master teachers of the world are single? Like, if you really look at all of the people, right, they've either been through a divorce, or they never went there, or whatever. Anna, thank you so much for sharing that bit. We're going to save some for the readers. Bonnie, tell us about your amazing chapter.
Sure. Just checking in. Are y'all able to hear me okay?
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Well, hello, everybody. It's such an honor to be here. So I wrote chapter 4, Trusting the Nudges, a corporate researcher's journey connecting with her psychic mediumship abilities. And I wrote this because you'll see when you read the chapter, the beginning of it starts out where the most I can do, I was working 60 plus hours a week in the corporate world, and then also in the teaching as a professor. And the most I could do was meditate for 2 minutes via a guided meditation. And that was a huge stretch for me. And then throughout the chapter, it goes to pretty close to present day, where I've gone from that to starting to see visuals during meditation, multiple trainings, and then now, after being honored to give 100 or so sessions with people where I'm doing channeling for them, connecting with their information. So it's quite the journey in the chapter. And the call to write this chapter for me was that when I was going through this, having lived in that corporate and very analytical world for my whole life, and maybe many lifetimes, who knows, I felt really scared and very alone for a little bit when I started receiving these visuals, when I started reconnecting to my intuitive abilities. And the fire in my belly to write this and come out and be vulnerable and share is that it can show my experience, and perhaps other people could resonate with it as well, with the heart space of helping us to not feel so alone. Looking back on my journey and being where I am, I feel very strongly we are all connected to our intuitive abilities. It's if we choose to connect with them, and how can we do that in a way that really celebrates these. As I've connected to it, obviously I've taken it into supporting other people in it. It's also made me a better co-parent and a stronger me and a better friend. So there's so many incredible doors that open up when you are able to connect with these abilities much more. And how can I come from that very analytical and research world and bring it into a human lens and normalize it and celebrate the heck out of it. Really celebrate the heck out of it. So that's a little bit about the journey, and it goes through a number of experiences. I'll keep it at a high level so y'all can reach out with any questions after you read it. But to give an example, it starts where I rent a conference room at a corporation I was working with over my lunch break to try this thing called meditation. that my friend told me to try to help with stress reduction. And along the journey, I kept following these nudges. I might not have been able to understand it, but maybe it was a synchronicity in nature, or leaning over to my friend at a wedding and saying, "Hey, I know this sounds crazy, but have you ever seen ghosts?" To accidentally, what I thought at the time, but now I think it's all connected, is booking 2 sessions with a medium, one in the morning and one at night, 2 very different ones, not connected. And the exact same information came through with both of them. So had you asked me 5 years ago if I would have the honor of sitting here with you all on this call, I would have said, "That's really amazing, tell me more." But I would have had a hard time to wrap my head around it. And I'm so honored and excited and proud of myself, honestly, to have trusted those nudges along the way and continue to trust them. And what I've found, and what the Fire in My Belly hopes this chapter may inspire in others, is to keep deepening that self-trust in yourself. Because for me, what I found, and many other people that I've met along the way, the more we trust those nudges, the more we trust what resonates in our whole body, the stronger that muscle gets and the more powerful those open doors become. So it's a really exciting time to be here, and it's great to be on the call with you all.
That's awesome, Bonnie. You said something when you first started talking about how, you started with 2 minutes and then it transformed into better and better. And then you were seeing the visuals. And so I just want to kind of encourage our listeners that you got to start somewhere, and it gets better and easier, right?
Yeah, it gets more exciting. I'll say
Yeah.
that. Maybe you start to make a little more sense of it because you start to integrate this. And I do want to acknowledge and honor that there was a lot in my social conditioning around, seeing these visuals. What does that mean? Does it mean that I'm, not stable? Does it mean these things? And I want to acknowledge that those are limiting beliefs that a lot of us have been told. And it was a really, really hard struggle for me at the time. And that's what I wanted to share with the chapter. But now I realize, like, it doesn't have to be. You could choose to do that through joy and expansion and love. And it's amazing. Yeah.
Thanks, Bonnie. All right, Jen, you are next up. Tell us about your amazing chapter.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Laura. Thank you. I love being powerful, beautiful, extraordinary women. I wrote chapter 22, Pardon Our Progress, Sisters and Shamans Failing Each Other and Growing into Our Light. So this chapter, I actually worked in another book with Laura, and that was really more the exploration of when 2020 happened. I went into a deep stillness, as we all did. But in the lockdown, my meditations got even deeper. And I started to receive divine guidance, angelic, ascended masters, star beings. I just went to all the places. And so out of that journey, I created Lighten Up. And this was a way to cultivate stillness with others and help others attune to their light bodies. And it was all guided. It was all guided from higher dimensional realities. So then what started to happen is my outside circumstances, it was kind of like I went deeper into the fire of the circumstances, and conflict started to arise, and things that would help me grow my human and become more of who I'm meant to be, kind of incorporating this, excuse me, the light into the human. Yeah, all of that started to occur. And that's what this chapter is about. I firmly believe that we humans, we are each other's medicine. And so the conflicts that come up between us, it's an opportunity for us to dive deeper into our bodies and to feel that and to work through it, and then to expand out and become more of who we're meant to be. And so it's this incredible opportunity, and why we showed up here and why we want to be here. Yet so much of our, social conditioning, limited belief systems are built on everything's supposed to be smooth and easy, and, and that's not really why we're here, is what I've discovered. So that's what this chapter is about, one particular journey, and how going through that allowed me to stand more firmly in who I am and love more deeply, even the ones that are bringing conflict, because it's medicine. It's all for us.
You know, this is another level of badass awareness, and looking at every moment, the messes, the chaos, the whatever that is, the struggle, the challenge as an opportunity, right? What else do you want to say about that? This is important.
Yeah, I mean, it's the heart of why we're here, to drop out of our intellectual minds, come into our bodies and into our heart awareness. And that is what we do for each other. When somebody triggers us, they're actually allowing us an opportunity to go, what am I feeling? Like, why am I triggered? And then the emotional body has all this intelligence to offer us. And I would say, get out in nature as much as you can. Because she will help you through this time, because we're all just like super triggered, and because we're coming into our light bodies now. That's what this is about. That's how I see it.
Almost every author lately, and also practitioner and holistic practitioner I talk to, talks about the nature connection as a primary form of self-care. And I think it's really great for people to understand that. You want to just talk a little bit more about what that is for you?
Well, the vibration of nature, there really is a resonance in nature that is what is true. There's an inherent biology. There's a light there, right? And I always say my dog kind of saved my life, because he insisted I get outside and walk every day and feel that. And I think when we consciously decide to, intend that our natural experiences are medicine for us to absorb that, forest bathers speak of it, that's that's why we're here. That's what this beautiful planet is offering us.
Yeah, it's super awesome. Thank you, Jen. All right, Thais, you
Yeah,
are up next. Tell us about your amazing chapter.
Hi, Laura. Hi, ladies. It's such an honor to be here with you all and to write this book with you. I never thought I was going to be in an interview in the United States. Writing a book, this is awesome. So thank you. I feel honored to be in this group. My chapter is chapter 11. I am an alchemist, dismantling my family's programs and discovering I am my own medicine. And I hear Jen talk, and I resonate with her explanation of medicine, because this is really the core of my story. In the beginning of my chapter, I'm really telling my mother's story and the struggles of our family, as we just went through a lot of drama and fights and passion and love and yelling. And I had a rough childhood, and all of that made me witness various cancers in our families. And my mom fell into a deep depression. And to try to save my mother, I went into the health and fitness world and became very curious about healing. But I was only looking at the physical body, at food and at movement. As a trainer, of course, I was only looking at the physical body. And my mother was diving into pharmaceuticals, and it was challenging. And I never could, until today, I'm trying to save her. She's still here. And but to not tell you my whole story about why this word medicine really resonates with me is because through my spiritual awakening, I learned that I am my own medicine, and that it wasn't the pharmaceuticals or any kind of medication that was going to save my mother or I or anyone in my family. And so I really got connected with spirit, with my higher self and energy work. I became a holistic wellness coach and Reiki master, and really have just harnessed, all of this healing for myself. It brings tears to my eyes, because it's the power, the dichotomy of this word, of all I have watched my family go through, and how I am breaking this pattern and being the other side of the medicine. So that's my chapter.
Love the idea of breaking the patterns. And I also think about how amazing it is that it'll move in both directions in generations. I mean, I think a lot about my mom. I think about my daughter in the other direction. And then of course, you guys know the layers that go beyond that. What else do you want to say about that?
Uh, I really feel in my heart that I started looking for my healing when I had my children, when I started to see the way I was behaving with my daughter and my son, and bringing up all of the drama, you know, and I realized, wow, I suffered with this for so long, and I'm doing the same. And but I knew my healing, that had to be in a different way. And so it has been really profound to be able to change the story of my family and be a more compassionate mother, and just live with peace, you know, to learn to live with peace. I had no peace in my childhood. And so to be able to, of course things happen, but to be able to bring peace to my family in a way that I wasn't brought to myself, and give myself and my family what I always wanted, is really, really good. And now I'm also able to teach women to go through the same, you know, women who are spiritually awakened or not, just to really get them in touch with themselves and awaken themselves to how divine they are and how powerful we are, that we can work in our hearts and in our minds. And there's so much that we can do to change ourselves. We don't have to suffer. You know, a lot of the suffering is all carried, and we can just cut it off and create a new story. We are the authors, right, of our own stories.
No doubt. Oh gosh, I love listening to you guys talk about all of this. Thank all of you for saying yes to this project, but also just taking on that challenge of getting it down onto paper. That's no small task, right? Because you're all master teachers and you can help people, and you do all day long with your beautiful practices and strategies, but getting that into words in a book that help the reader with an experience of your story is vulnerable and difficult sometimes, and it takes a warrior. So I appreciate all of you for being those people. Thank you so much. Okay, Jen, what does sister armor mean to you?
Yes, sister armor is, to me, about coming together in community.
Uh-oh, did we lose Jen? We're losing you a little bit, Jen.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, there you are. You're back. Okay, keep going. Uh-oh, maybe you
Sorry
can't
about
hear
that.
us.
So
Okay, go
coming
ahead.
together in community.
Yep.
I can hear you. Okay. Community is not supposed to be this perfected ride. I'm going to stop my video. Let's start here.
That might work
okay?
better. Yeah, start
I'll just
again.
stay.
Coming together in community. We got you.
Yes. I think we're in the limited belief systems that we live in. We're often taught that, you know, we're supposed to come together and have this like smooth ride and everything is going to be easy. And that's really the definition of success. And I've come to know in you know, this journey, this wild ride of light body work, that that's not really the truth. That really, like I said earlier, we are each other's medicine. We are helping each other evolve and expand. And that is the beauty of sisterhood. I was an only child, grew up an only child, spent a lot of time alone. Well, not really alone because I was with guidance, but I just assumed everyone was experiencing that level of guidance and we just weren't talking about it, which is pretty funny. But, you know, finding now and later in life, finding really rich community of women and sisters, and we don't always agree and our truths are different, but we find a way through our hearts to still stay connected. And then the beauty that can come from that, that's what sister armor is for me.
I love that. Thank you, Jen. That is an
Sure.
awesome intro to that. And of course, all of you are going to have a little bit different way of talking about this. Thais, how about you? What does sister armor mean to you?
Sister armor means to me what happened to me the day I met Tiffany, when she came over to my house and with some friends, and we had a full moon circle. And I sat in circle with women. And that was when the beginning of my healing journey, when I realized that I wasn't the only one suffering or healing. And it was so powerful for me to just be in that space. And I felt so held and so heard and so loved. And I could see myself in them, you know, and them in myself. And so my passion to just help women, I really, you know, I quit the corporate gym environment because I couldn't pick my clients. You know, I had to train everyone that came my way. And I said, I want to work with women. I want to work with mothers. I want this, you know, sister armor is to really hold each other and love each other and lift each other.
I love that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Anna, what do you want to add to this? What does sister
Um,
armor mean to you?
I think, you know, there is this, from exactly what you just shared, Thais, about us being able to see each other's in each other's story. I think there is this, just the opportunity for, I think, for every woman that's going to be reading this book, every person is going to be reading this book, to really see that anybody could be writing a story, you know, because this journey of healing and discovery, and there is like this sense of belonging and honoring like who we are, our story, our journey. And adding to what you said, you know, we are doing this like in this community. And even though this was one of the most vulnerable things I've done, you know, to suddenly sit down, write my story, it's there is this warm comfort, you know, about like knowing that we are all like in this journey together. And there is, I think, this level of the sense of belonging, I would say, the sense of belonging, this sense of being held, you know, and being able to show, you know, the reader that there's so many different paths that we can go through. Then even though there is like so many different stories, so many, I think there is this there's just the precious opportunity to be in a community and be doing this together. And I think when what I'm really present, I think that it is this large connection that we all seek, connection with who we are, with the spiritual world, with the loved ones, you know, the sense of love and unconditional love, you know, that I think it's present. So I think that's what it brought to me, you know, it brought to the surface, you know, that yeah, it's just this as scary as it seemed, you know, in the beginning. And I think for a lot of us, you know, as we start to be vulnerable about our story, there is this sense also of being taken care by each other.
Yeah, definitely. I love, you guys are the best. Bonnie, it's hard to go last on these questions, I know, but we need all the voices, right? Like all of our listeners who then maybe become readers. I had this big mission to include lots of different people in these books because I wanted to have all of your voices and all of your unique ways of saying the same thing, right? And because you guys know how it is, right? You can hear something 100 times, but then it's the 101st person that wakes you up to whatever this is, right? You heard it in exactly the way you needed to hear it. So Bonnie, what's your way of saying this? What's
Yeah,
sister armor to
absolutely.
you?
Sister armor to me is what you were talking about, where I feel like we're able to see a little bit of ourselves in every single one of these chapters, and to feel that community and that connection with reading it. But for me, it's also this statement of celebration of our full authentic selves. And to be able to do that in community, and to be able to do that in a space where we're held and celebrated, it's phenomenal. And I feel the energetic imprint of that has ripple effects to everyone reading it to step into their own authenticity through celebration.
Yeah. Oh, I love the energy of
Mhm.
celebration so much. That's one of the things I brought into my life on a regular basis that I think was a life-changing practice. I love that you
Same.
added that piece about celebration. All right.
Absolutely.
So, and you all have been hinting about your personal practices. And this is kind of really the next question. Bonnie, I'm actually going to stick with you for this one. Okay. What is, and I know y'all are going to be like, just one, you only want me to share one, but I want you to pick one favorite self-care practice that is a big part of your daily life.
Oh my goodness. All of them. That's my answer.
I know. Which one do you want
yeah.
to share with the listeners today? Just like, here's something you could try.
For me, hands down, it's daily meditation, and ideally on my better days when I'm able to do that in nature. And for me, what that is, just to make it super accessible, it's putting headphones in, going on YouTube, playing a binaural beat. I kind of check in with what chakra wants to be nurtured that day, and I'll find the frequency of that. And I'll set a timer for whatever feels aligned in that day, and close my eyes and just focus on my breathing and get very present and connect. And for me, that's when I connect with my guidance the most.
Okay, you made it super easy for me to give a shout out to a friend right now. So listening to smile.com, you guys, the most beautiful sound healing music, binaural beats, all the different kinds of frequencies, and put into these beautiful albums. So Ian, if you're listening, shout out to you, man. I love your stuff. And a lot of you will practice sound healing in one form or another, or you use sound for meditation. So Bonnie, I'm a fan of that one. I love it.
With that, for meditation too, it's also dancing. So it's the same self-care practice, but dancing with my eyes closed and music on, very much a meditation for me.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, Jen, what is yours?
Well, I think I mentioned nature, which is a huge part of it for me. But I would also say I've been working more in the meditation and with breath. Breath is just so sacred, and guidance has really been showing me how to celebrate with the breath and really light up and oxygenate the body. It allows me to feel, it allows me to get really honest about the truth of what my experience is. And then there's a transformation that occurs. So yeah, I would encourage everyone to take some deep, slow breaths, get in your heart, maybe even put your hand on your heart and say, what do I really feel right now about anything in your life? There's so much wisdom in our bodies and with the breath.
Love it. Breath work is a very profound modality. Practiced several forms of it. And it was one of those ones where, as healers, we dabble, we love to experiment with all these ways. At least I've been a dabbler like my whole life. And I got to meet a breath worker and experience some work one-on-one. And I left that session going, holy moly, if I didn't know this, what else is there for me to, it was a big deal for me. Profound shift. I always say about breath work that afterwards, it makes me feel like I've been washed out from the inside. I love that. Love that idea. Okay, Thais, how about you? What is one of your favorite ways to take care of yourself?
So since they already said meditation and breath, I'm going to continue the circle and go back to my roots with taking care of our physical vessel, our physical body, with deep nourishment from foods, from clean water, from really honoring this incredible machine that the human body is, that, we can honor it. And sometimes we can get too much in our heads or too much in the spiritual world, and we miss the connection with this and taking care of this. So through movement and deep nourishment with, alive foods that Mother Earth gave us, that is my favorite thing to do every day.
I love that as well. So I always make a joke about this because I love it how we all go around and pick one more thing. So I think we need to take the blueberries out into nature, meditate, and listen to some sound healing while we're doing like we can just
And
do
walking
all the things.
as you're walking.
There we go.
And give yourself some Reiki.
That would be a fantastic session. Okay, Anna, what do you want to add? Were you going to add the walking?
No, the walking, I would say the exercise is part, but I want to share it because, I go to sleep early and I wake up. I naturally wake up at 4:30, and one of the things that I love is just to hear the first bird chirping in the morning. And a huge thing for me as I moved to this new home, right? I will stay in the house. I moved to the new home is that I created, like, I have this room where I'm at. It's kind of a sanctuary for me. So every morning when I wake up, I created these little altars with different meanings that I created throughout, intuitively. I have my 4 directions altar. I have this one here that is kind of, it represents motherhood and all the ancestors lineage and my thing. And then I have another one that is pretty much my relationship with my daughter. And then I have another one that is the divine feminine and masculine come together. So I created these different things. So every morning, I wake up and I come into this space and I light candles. So I have about, 11 different candles that I light. And then I have these 2 things is like this presence of gratitude and kind of setting the intention of my day. And then it might turn into whatever it is. It might turn into dancing. It might turn into a little meditation. It might turn into just laying down and reflecting, some writing. But I have this time between like 5 and 6:30 in the morning, I would say, that is very sacred to me. And I would say that it's almost every day that I do that, unless I really get into, I want to sleep today. So it's something that the creation of sacred spaces and altars, and so it can be a place to go and honor whatever your intention is in creating that. And yeah, that's been a big practice for me.
I love that. I've done that for myself as well. These rooms or spaces in your rooms become places you're drawn to because the energy is so high vibe. You just want to be there, sit there, do your writing there. I would add journaling to all of this. And that would be the first morning thing. I'll go to the space and sit with my journal and just allow whatever is moving through me, right? That's one of my practices. There's so many. So, talking to our listeners now, you've heard 4, 5, 6 of these ideas, maybe a few more today, but there are many, many more. And part of the reason that I wanted to put these kinds of people together in a collaboration was to show you that, you may have tried 10 things, but there's an 11th thing. And if you've been losing hope, don't do that. Don't lose hope, because we're here to tell you the 11th thing or the 12th thing or whatever you need, to bring you to the next step. There's something, and we don't want you to lose hope. So for this last question that I'm going to come around to all of you for, it's really about that. It's about our listeners and our readers. I want them to feel empowered. And some of them might be just stepping onto this path of healing, beginner path, right? So Thais, what would be a little piece of advice you might have for somebody who is just kind of dipping a toe in the pool here? What would be a good, easy, simple step for them?
That's a hard one. A little simple step.
What would help them feel empowered? That's another way that I would love people to feel more.
Believing in yourself.
There you go.
Believing in yourself, that you can do wonderful things, that you are divine, that you are divine. That's my mojo. We're awakening women to the divinity that they are, believing that you can do anything that is for your highest good. Just take one step at a time, one step at a time. Don't give up. Sometimes we take one step and we take one back and we think, oh, we're healing. And then something happens and you're like, but keep going. Don't get discouraged. Keep going.
One of the other authors called that a full body slam when that happens. And I thought, oh yeah, sometimes it feels like that a little bit.
I've had multiple.
Thank you, Thais. Anna, how about you?
Yeah, I
What
think
would
that
be
goes along with that. I think that I call those the bad news insights that we get, that those insights that really take us like a shake, they shake us. Like, I think for me, it's been a big thing about welcoming those instead of just getting into a mode of like, oh my gosh, this is terrible, I'm back, or like, and I think like moving from like being so critical of myself, or you being critical of yourself, from like having compassion and just bringing a lot of love to yourself as you're going through this. One other thing, she was just like not doing this process alone. I think the more we can, do this with people that you trust, and like Thais is one of them. She's been my, we've been like almost like together, carrying each other through the process, and I think that's needed. Like, this is not a journey that I think some people might be able to do by yourself, but I think that's something like to go for, is
Can I add
to
something really quick to that?
Yeah, quick, sure.
Yeah, I think that really when you have sisters healing together, you help each other see like what is a limiting belief or not. Sometimes we get so stuck, and as I look at other women, I just say, just peel that onion, like find yourself at the core of your being. You're not all that. Just that's it.
Yeah,
yeah,
I love it, and I love it. Bonnie, what's your little piece of advice for our listeners?
Yeah, I think a big one is give yourself permission to have a really good time on this. I think there's so much, at least in my experience, and yes, there's like hard work and healing, and sometimes we are crying on the bathroom floor as we're releasing those limiting patterns. And to give ourselves permission that we could put our intent and our energy of what is it that we're trying to create? What is it that we're trying to call in? And put our energy to that. And on that journey of going to that, the healing can occur, right? That growth, that expansion. A way that was really helpful for me is doing a journaling exercise. And I said, what was it that I really enjoyed as a kid? What were the things that I found just delight for the sheer sake of delight? And, it came working in the garden, playing with my animals, going on a walk, right? These little things, playing hopscotch, jump roping, dancing, right? So seeing how I can, what I like to call life hacks, like how can I work those in, even in like 2-minute pieces here and there, the more that I was able to do that, the more rapid that growth and that healing and that expansion occurred. So give yourself permission to have a darn good time with it.
Yes, to that, for sure. All right, Jen Bates, you are going to wrap us up today. What's your piece of advice for our listeners?
Great. Yeah, thank you. So it's all for you. And if you can just, excuse me, lean into that idea more. Like, this is the hardest part for me, is that all the circumstances, all of them, even the hardest ones, right? When you're just in the midst of that trauma, it's actually occurring for you. And if you can kind of take a step back and see the theater of it all, I have a theater background, the play of it all, find the comedy in it, because it's kind of funny when you can get far enough back from it, and just love yourself through it. Just love yourself through it. Whatever you can do, create a bliss playbook, like what Bonnie was recommending, something. Start capturing those moments that crack you up in the absurdity of what this life is. Yeah, that's what I'd recommend. Lighten up.
I love it. I asked the question, what else is possible here? And that is how I get into that space that you just talked about. Authors, thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone.
Thank you so much. It's
Laura.
such an honor being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, to all of our listeners, remember you can join us for a live stream book launch party on June 20th at 10 a.m. Eastern. I'm going to gather with all of our Sister Armor authors, and we're going to be doing some giveaways that day. You're going to find that on the Brave Healer Productions Facebook page. I've got you linked up down below in the show notes for that. And I also have you linked up to all of these beautiful authors, and they are so very generously there for you for support. Reach out. If something they said today sparked a little fire, gave you a little goosebumps, then click on their website because they are up to some awesomeness, y'all, and they're there for you. So please go explore. And if you happen to be listening to this after June 20th, well, that means the book is ready. So you can go get Sister Armor on Amazon at that point. And maybe you are a wellness practitioner who's ready to share your brave words in one of our upcoming best-selling collaborations. Please find us at bravehealer.com. Lastly, today, everybody, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone. Bye, ladies.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.